Chronicle of the Crown, session 35, mayhaps the penultimate session. So we're going to jump straight in. You have opened, or rather, I guess Mordred's people have opened the large double doors to this underground cathedral below Riathil, the besieged city of bridges. And in this large temple, under the Grand Temple, which is on the top, resides the Keeper of the Flame, the leader of the Covenant of the First Flame. And let's remind ourselves of the situation here. So, in this area is the Keeper of the Flame. So, she is about as tall as 3 or 4 people, clad in flowing robes of gossamer silk, like a shimmering sea of stars. Her hair is an unruly mane, not unlike a lion's mane. Her hands, cruel, rending claws, and the mouth is a forest of dagger teeth. There's a baleful yellow fire that smolders out of her eyes and occasionally lashes out of her mouth as the serpent tongue tastes the air. And she has 2 knightly figures standing guard in front of her, 2 large swords held point down. These knights being clad in clearly just ancient antique armor. And there you are on the other side of this fairly large, temple space, staring these down. They have been informed because this was arranged for you. You're not here sneaking. You were granted an audience, so to say. So you have just opened the doors. What do you do?
We're going to leave as we entered. Through the front.
So we're going to leave?
No, we're not leaving now. It's as hideous as I suspected and more. It's just me thinking as I walk in at the front of the pack. King Kameron, previously just Kameron, has always been a more of an introverted figure in his life. Happy to stay in the back. Happy to be a team player, but in this moment, in this situation that he's found himself in, he cannot stand idle. He is at the front, marching straight forward, bringing himself short, maybe like 10 feet from this. This person's huge, isn't it? Height-wise.
Yeah, 3 or 4 people.
Yeah, 3 or 4 people. A little bit hunched, but
I'm getting sort of like Baba Yaga vibes.
Yeah, this is like massive, bestial, like half beast, half person, very large, sort of gossamer silk wearing, like beast witch type situation.
Obviously, forgive me for asking, because I always refer to them as the Flame Keeper, but their actual name is...
I'll put that in the chat.
Yeah, because I know I've referenced, spoken about it a few times.
Mirande
Mirande
is the original name of the person who became the Keeper of the Flame.
Thank you for granting me this audience, Mirande.
So I presume you've proceeded.
Yeah, I'm like 10 feet from it now. I've walked in. I'm right front pack.
Yeah. So as you get like the 10 feet, the knights sort of swap their sword position from like point down, hands on the pommel, to up.
I will presumably, so I'm slightly behind my liege, sort of waiting for his word. As they do that, obviously, because the king's in potential danger, I've already got like the Wanderer's Lament out. Since now I'll sort of have it like welded to me because it is precious to me.
Yeah.
And I'll, as they sort of reverse it, because I'm gonna have taken some of my sort of I suppose the sort of like disciples of the Wanderers who were touched by the flame with me. As as I see the knights do this, I'm likewise going to sort of bring up the Wanderer's Lament in front of me, sort of like that, so it's clear that like it's ready to go if they want to throw down, but I'm not going to make the first move.
Yeah, please continue, King.
And I start to sort of pace up and down, slightly agitated, as you would expect after the last few days I've had. Thank you for granting me this audience. I must admit that after living in this city for so long, and teaching at the tower for several years, and the students would talk about your teachings and watching this faith grow throughout Riathali. I'm surprised that I've never met you until now. Surprised that I never got to see face to face until this moment. And now that I am, I'm kind of surprised, but also disappointed.
They have the serpent tongue flickers. There's sort of puffs of yellow fire as she tastes the air, listening, cooking her head to one side.
And I never questioned your faith. I wouldn't have called myself an ardent believer. Then, when you have the profession that I did, you speak to the spirits, of long perished warriors, creatures from distant lands, and occasionally things from much higher places. You tend to get the perspective that faiths come and go. That one's religion is temporary; it changes with time. But I did not know that what I do now is how you gained this power. For I have recently came into the knowledge, Mirande, that you stole this power. You stole this flame that you claim conquest of. Just like the Flame King at your gates, you have stolen a power that never belonged to you.
I grip my sword a little tighter.
What do you have to say for yourself? If you are able to speak. I see that the years have been somewhat unkind.
So there's a hissing, not unlike a serpent, and it's a voice that doesn't quite fit into the physical aspect here.
Yeah, I imagine.
It's not very clear how it's coming out. She's making motions as if to speak, but something else is going on there. So she says, "And who are you to judge me? You speak of necromancy the first you stride into this chamber. Yours is a profession of profound theft, and that which you bear upon your crown now, perhaps the greatest theft of them all. Have you come here to flaunt your greatest skill above my failures?"
At this point, I don't think I'm going to be able to restrain my righteous faithfulness any longer.
I'm just gonna put my hand on him.
I'm going to be sort of moving to step forward.
Yeah.
Let me at him, coach.
It's okay. You are, of course, correct. In this crown was not something that my forefathers earned. That's what you are right. Like a lot of things my people have done. Our people, you are obviously part of us. We have stolen power. We have taken it. But you obviously haven't studied in my class, and I would have told you that there is a big difference between me and you. Is that I negotiate Ideal, and it is a two-way street. I have taken upon this privilege, but it is a burden that I will relinquish when the time comes.
My
I'm
lord,
not taking this. Please.
forgive my interruption, my lord. Might I address the Flamekeeper?
Please.
Okay,
This is my custodian of the flame, Ishmael.
Curious.
So I'm going to step forward. I'm going to keep the sword in my hand, but I'm going to sort of lower it. So I'm not just sort of like going in like that. I'm sort of like lowering it down. But so I'll put it across my chest so it's ready if I need to block a blow or go in for the kill or whatever. But so it's a bit less threatening. I'm going to step forward. I'm going to bow respectfully. And then I'm going to say in a voice that I'm trying to keep as sort of moderated as possible.
Measured.
Indeed. I'm going to say, Flamekeeper, you claim to speak for the sacred flame, to guide your people in its worship. Is that not the case?
Such has ever been the intent.
Then, as far as I am aware, and of course I I perform the will of my lord as best as I'm able, and I'm not King Kameron. As far as I am concerned, we are not here to flaunt anything in front of you, nor to cast you down, since I too have felt the warmth of the sacred flame, the ancient and true flame from which all other sparks of such faith have been kindled down the long years, including your own. And I'm going to sort of step forward and sort of like, again, still sort of lower myself respectfully as if I was about to bow, but then sort of look up so she can like see the sort of like fire in like the pupils of my eyes, and I'll say, those like myself, these disciples, and I sort of gesture behind me without looking away at some of the gathered throng who have witnessed the miracle of the true source of the flame's power, the ancient flame once forgotten by people, but that never died and has yet been rekindled. We seek to unite all those who follow the various tributaries of the flame, to help them rediscover the true origins of their faith. And it is a journey that we can go on together, all of us here, whether those who saw the original miracle and have been mocked, like myself, or those who are simply open to the warmth of the flame's embrace. If you are willing, we would reach out that hand to yourself as well. For although there are many differences in our faith, they all spring from the same spark. And we believe that there is much we can learn from each other. And by uniting the disparate branches of those who worship the flame, we can make all of our faiths stronger and forge a true and lasting faith that will spread like a wildfire to all the peoples of this land and unite them against the great darkness that seeks to snuff out all lights, all belief, and all hope within this land. We do not seek to fight amongst each other, for if we do so, we will be cut down, and the embers of our faith will burn away to nothing, and then all will be darkness. Whereas if we unite our faiths and our beliefs, we will light a fire which will cast away the shadows and will lead the people into a new age for all of us here and beyond. And at this point, I'm going to sort of hold out, because I'm still wearing my armour, I'm going to sort of hold out my my sort of gauntleted free hand towards her, and I'm going to say, all that's required for you to join us on this journey is to accept, take the hand that is offered, and let us turn our anger, our ire, towards the true enemy, and let us not spend it fruitlessly on each other.
So as you hold out your hand, the Keeper of the Flame looks to Kameron and says, "Does this one speak with your authority?"
I respect his wisdom. He has walked both paths in his lifetime, of your flame and of the one he found within himself.
She nods, sort of crouches down further, and slithers something. Sounds like language. No idea what it might be. If you do want to roll for foreign languages, that is an option on the skill list there. If you want to try and pick up what is...
Would that be a wise? Like foreign language wise?
Foreign languages is a skill.
Oh, right. I don't have that, I don't believe, so...
Yep.
I'd give it a shot, but my chances are, unless this crown comes with an automatic translation.
Well, I mean, do you want to know?
I was going to say, can I ask probably a slightly ridiculous question with regards to this? I'm assuming in character, and I'm probably entirely wrong, but I'm assuming that perhaps this is some sort of either sorceress or sort of language that's spoken by like her version of like the Faith of the Flame. What I'd like to know is, could I potentially use my faith to enable me to, via the sort of link of our faiths, because they're both based on the flame, to sort of get to the sort of gist of what she's saying?
Power of the flame tongue.
For a minor miracle, absolutely.
Oh, I don't know if I could pull off a minor miracle this early in the game.
Got the juice.
Oh, it's obstacle 5 for a minor. Do you know what? You only live once.
Can I assist him if either I can fork in Imperial Alia or Demonology to it?
No. This is faith. This is
Oh yeah, it's the fifth.
living on a prayer.
No.
But
not,
if you want to pitch in, you do have something that empowers you quite a bit.
Crown.
You might just translate it in live for everyone present.
Okay, would I be able to get a +1 dice for the
for
faithful?
someone assisting you?
Yeah,
Yep.
because I've got all the apostles there.
Yep.
Okay, so that would put me up to 5 fate dice, and I would need 5 successes. Obviously, I'm going to put some persona into it because that's the way I roll, your lordship. So
there's nothing I can do to help you, really.
I'm going to drop a couple.
Well, there's one thing you can do.
Oh,
yeah, the crown.
I will give you a little boost, like a little sliver of boost for the crown.
Love tap.
So, just a tap, because I need to keep my powder dry.
How much do you give him?
In terms of dice?
Yeah.
2 dice, I think I'd probably give him.
Okay.
It's just enough, because I've got my hand on him, like on his.
2 from.
I'm actually holding his forearm.
5, 6, 7. So that would put me to
Never
9
mind
dice.
me messing with your sheet here.
Yeah, I understand. I know what that means.
Yep. Carry on.
Okay, so I'm on 9 dice and it's obstacle 5.
Yep.
Okay, let's go. So help and advantage. 2 dice from that. 2 dice from. No, sorry, unless I've written that wrong. So.
It's partially because it's kind of almost like a reflex that I am concerned that they're casting some kind of spell at us. If they're meaning that their intent is not clear.
Yep.
Look at that.
Who's the faith man?
Any 6s in there? Oh, dude, fate! Spend a fate point. Check him out.
No, it's already open. That's
right,
why I
okay.
rolled so many times.
I'm going to spend a fate point for an extra dice though,
Yep.
just because when am I going to be here again? So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still late.
Dude.
So
Dude.
I would guess that
You
with
want to wear this thing?
because we didn't really talk about like
I've
what
tried it. It didn't go well.
the action itself is, but I guess because this is literally about language, that Ishmael might be inspired by the poets
Well, if it's
aspects here.
I'll say if it's a minor, because like I say it's a minor miracle. What I'd like to do, if it's okay with you, to sort of like describe the miracle. What I'd like to do is have, so as she's intoning these words, I would like to actually have it so that sort of a almost like a sort of crackly sort of like, you know, like the crackle of a fire, a sort of voice with that sort of like timbre to it, sort of like repeats what she's saying in like common as she's sort of saying it, and maybe when she sort of like looks up, because like the voice will be coming from like near me, maybe she sees like both herself and myself sort of outlined with a sort of like phantom outline of flames.
I've got an idea, Ishmael. Do you have a shield with you? Do you carry a shield?
Of course I do.
Right. So on the shield you have the flame emblazoned, right?
Yep.
So the flame then starts flickering to life and forms into like a little blue mouth and starts to like and starts.
It's a good idea. It's a bit creepier than I was going for though. But like I said, what I'm hoping to do is like by having the voice sort of like emerge from near me, she'll know it's my faith manifesting this. And then when she sees like the phantom outline of fire around herself and myself, again it's trying to make that point that we're not so dissimilar. We've both been sort of touched by different aspects of the flame. So I'm hoping it'll help sell her on the fact that we're both sort of like, I suppose, kindred spirits in a way, albeit from like different branches of the same sort of thing.
So yeah, you don't know what the words are, but the power that you've conjured reaches across. Well, really, there's fire and time, and she's talking to the knights. So she's saying, Idrenion, Aradis. These people come here with power, much like that of our own. Should we trust this? And
So
one of the knights replies in the same, which gets translated as well. It's a woman's voice that says, they have somehow stumbled upon a few of the old secrets that we knew in our youth.
So I think at this point I'm going to sort of like cut in, and I'm just going to say, looking like between the knight and the flame keeper, I'm just going to say, again in a sort of like softer voice as I can manage to make right in the throat. I'm just going to say, you are correct. We have rediscovered some of the ancient secrets, but you may trust us. It is our wish to spread these secrets to all of those who are faithful of the flame.
The other knight this time sounds like a man's voice. Says, we would benefit from allies, save for the trouble that will follow if the hand of the serpent is driving these people here, as I suppose it would, where else would they have found the secrets?
Trouble is, as you put it, is already coming. And when darkness is gathering around you, would you rather take the fuel for your fire and scatter it, making several small flames which cast only a dim light? Or would you rather gather up all the fuel of your faith and build it into a large fire which will shelter all and will help drive back the darkness? Those are our choices. We all go our separate ways when we rely on only the knowledge we have for ourselves and we stand as lone voices crying out into the night. Or we all unite the various strands of the flame's faith and we forge all of our voices into a mighty chorus of defiance that drives back the oncoming darkness. I would rather have, even though we have our differences, and as you have said, that not all of your ways are ours, I would rather have all the faithful of the flame, regardless of which version of their faith they follow, standing together as one mighty light against the enemy, which is coming whether we will it or not.
You've
Then-
also tried to fight them before and failed. I was in Dulciria. I saw your forces.
And if you doubt my faith, then you only have to look into the eyes of myself or those who saw the miracle of the ancient flame to be assured that we are most devout in our belief, but we appreciate the fact that we are all here children of the flame. And if we allow, through petty arguments, we allow our differences to divide us so that great light gutters and fails, we will all be picked off one by the oncoming darkness. Whereas if we all stand together and shelter in the warmth of the flame's light, then we may yet preserve ourselves and others and force back the shadows from whence they came.
So the woman says to the knights are sort of they're listening to you, but they're only talking to the keeper of the flame. So
I was going to step in as well.
Yeah.
You must forgive that before I was a king, I was a master summoner. But if we are negotiating with 3 of you, I would have your names, please, for you know who we are. And we have came in here with an open hand, not a clenched
so
fist.
the keeper of the flame takes one clawed hand and makes a sweeping motion. These are my honored guests, Idrenion and Aradis of ancient Dulciriath, as once was. They have great knowledge, and the only children in this chamber are yourselves.
Okay, is Ruthven with me?
Sure.
Can I just turn and go, are these old friends of yours?
She says, I do not recall them.
Oh, I've got a Dulciria. I could roll for this.
You have Dulciriath wives.
I could roll for this.
Whoa.
Oh my god! Right skill, right time. No way. Is this actually gonna?
No,
No,
because we
no.
knew about that. You purposefully built that up.
No. It's true.
You only get
I'll give
right
it a
skill, right time if we're suddenly like, for some reason, we're like, oh, we really need like a couch to solve this situation. You were like, well, I just so happen to have couch wives.
That's wise.
Yeah.
I'll
I'm
give
a
it a shot.
carpenter. What?
I have a feeling I'm not going to have the juice for this in terms of dice. But
Mhm.
what would be the difficulty?
What do you want to give me a question? What do you want?
I want to know what historical facts I know about those names. Were they sorcerers? Were they nobles? How far in Dulciria's history do these names show up for my studies of the city?
All right. Let's go for 2.
That is my skill. Oh. Yeah, let's try. You never know. I'm just gonna roll it. just, you know. Yeah. Well,
Well, the you don't really know
but
much
I
about them,
I
but
get a tricksy.
from the context here, everything they've said so far and everything that you know about them from here, which let's take stock here. Mordred was only working on what he was working on here because, according to him, a couple of Dulciriathan knights turned up
Yeah.
with certain very potent materials and promised to help alleviate the curse of the flame upon the Flamekeeper. And
Doesn't seem to have really helped, though.
well, they were in progress.
Okay.
Mordred did say that he siphoned, like he basically took shit from the lab for his own experiments,
Right.
and he made it into what he thought would have been the real thing, but he kept it away because he wanted to give it to you, not to keep up
Yeah,
the flame.
because he's such a good friend.
So we know that, and we know certain old Dulciriathan folks who are involved with all kinds of ancient fire shit, and those would be, this is just free shit because you already knew this, this stuff you've run into before with the poet. The poet had disciples, Dulciriathan knights, who came to him to look for assistance, who then went rogue afterwards, and whose handiwork you had the chance to sample in the Shadowed Wasteland.
Right.
So this might sound like a silly question, but it seems to me, if I'm gathering this correctly, that Mordred was attempting to, let's say, remove some sort of corruption from the Flamekeeper with all his crazy experiments.
Mm-hmm.
With King Kameron's bowel-shattering mystical powers, would it be possible, King Kameron, for you to sort of use your magical powers to remove the corruption from her? Because if you could just if you were like, Shazam, you're cured, now how about getting on board the King Kameron train? That'd probably stand you in pretty good stead.
That was an option I had in my back pocket.
And I, if nothing else, I believe in you, my lord. Just have faith in the dice, and as we've seen with my faith in the flame, they will reward you.
I don't need
you will simply
this.
Oil your dice with the lubrication of persona points and your faith in the flame, and you'll be rewarded.
So this was a side tangent. So the Keeper of the Flame makes the sweeping notion. These are my honored guests, Idrenion and Aradis of Dulciriath, as it was, and they have come here to assist us.
Flamekeeper, you are correct that in many ways those are like, although I have studied at the feet of the venerable poet and I have rediscovered some of the ancient secrets of the flame, that in many ways we are, as children, chasing a light in the darkness. With your great knowledge, you could help us to rediscover more of what was lost, and in return you might also benefit from, if not from the discovery, from the action of teaching others.
So the man speaks up again and says, "It's true. The serpent sent them. We must dispose of them or send them on their way immediately. Who knows what the old snake has in store for us and for you," addressed to the Keeper of the Flame.
I assure you, our only goal is to drive back the darkness that seeks to overwhelm this world.
So the Keeper of the Flame turns to King Cameron and says, so what is your bargain then? You wish to have me as your little priestess?
I'm going to sort of, in quite an unaccustomed manner, because I normally I follow King Cameron and everything. I'm just going to sort of like hold up my hand to him, and I'm going to say to the Flamekeeper, we are not offering a bargain, nor do we seek to make you into some sort of figurehead or a puppet, a weapon, an instrument, or anything like that. You claim, and I have little reason to doubt, that you have faith in the flame. All we are asking, as we have already been doing, and I would hope that you would witness if you go out into the city, we have not attempted to cast aside any of the variant faiths in the flame, even though there are differences. We have sought only to bring us together and benefit from the combining of our knowledge and our faiths. All we now ask you to do is that you step into the light of the flame with us, add your knowledge, your faith to our own, and then let us all turn the purifying light of that fire, that flame of our faith, against our true enemies.
So, unless the king has something else in mind, I think now is the good time for the roll to make the sale here.
Yeah, and it's a persuasion roll, so I'm probably going to do rubbish at it.
Yeah. So, I presume the king is going to pitch in.
I'll pitch in.
Well, let me just rock out with my faith, my persuasion 2.
I want to point out, I will say to them, it would seem that your friends can see if we are speaking true or not. Then it may interest you to know that I managed to heal the corruption or the malformation from delving too deep into your flame on one of your acolytes. I restored them to what they were before. And I may be able to do so for you if that is what you desire. Even the Flamekeeper must have things that they need.
What you speak of is a feat difficult to prove. So I would invite you. Do it.
I gesture to who's been with Ishmael this entire time. One of his guardmen, which is Wyatt's brother, Alstead. Step forward. Alstead, speak your truth.
So the Keeper of the Flame holds up a clawed hand and says, I will not listen to one of your acolytes. You are the one with the gift. Produce it.
Perhaps, as the Flamekeeper said, my lord, we have spent our little time for talk, and perhaps now is the time for you to demonstrate the divine power that flows through you as the Sun King.
Okay. To do so, you must allow me to approach you.
You are already within the sanctum.
I need to place my hand upon you.
You will not be harmed by my esteemed guests.
Or by yourself, I would appreciate.
Just in case that turns out not to be the case, I'm just going to be like primed with a kind of like whoop ass in case them knights try anything.
I am. I'm gonna look at Wraithwin as if just as a give us you're about to see some shit. You're about to see.
Here we go.
You might want to see if you can get her to like help you a bit.
Yeah. So I'm basically cinematic style, take off my cloak, hand over my things kind of flex, walk over with the crown. And I just sort of, I don't know if this thing has a real head or something I can actually place my hand upon that's human.
It's
Any
a little
part
bit,
of this?
it's a little bit high up for you.
Okay.
She can crouch down, but it's still going to be like above your head.
What I will do is I will get two of the apostles to step forward and sort of link their arms together, so he can basically like stand on their
Boost
arms,
him
and
up.
they'll like lift him up so he can.
It is okay, Ishmael. The king can stand alone. Do this. Don't you?
The
As
king,
he does.
the king can stand alone, my lord, but as we've been trying to say here, he does not have to.
Have to. I'll reach up. Kind of get her to just gesture down slightly, and I kind of just put my hand across her cheek.
So you can sort of feel a lot of, I suppose, like invested something, whatever you would call it. I don't know, but like potency, magic, whatever it is. But she is like inundated with something, clearly.
She's juiced up.
Yeah, as you get in close proximity, you can sort of like sense the emanation of something quite potent.
Just to check, I don't suppose my sword's smouldering at the moment.
As you glance at it, yeah, there's a streak. It's not like dripping lava or anything, but
Yeah. I'm gonna sort of, as surreptitiously as I can, sort of like nudge the king, and then I'll look at the sword, and obviously he'll know from when we were told what it does, that it sort of only smoulders in the presence of like the god blood, so she's clearly like juiced up on that god blood. Maybe the king could use the sword as a conduit to like draw the corrupted blood into the sword. I mean, let's face it, it's already got god blood in it.
I would love to do that, Ishmael, but the problem is you're probably not going to let me take a sword that close.
Well, no, I'd have to be holding it, but like if you're like, I'll walk up and like lay this sword on her shoulder or something, I will do.
Okay. Well, I say, Ishmael, please step forward and raise your sword.
I'll sort of raise it, but hold it like that, so it's obvious I'm not just like, yeah.
Yep. And I'm just sort of kind of gesturing. I'm going to whisper something to her that only she can hear.
Mm-hmm.
It's just essentially it's going to be, everyone deserves a second chance. Don't waste it. And as I hold, I close my eyes and I'm going to focus on the crown, and I'm going to draw out the corruption and this maliciousness, the malfeasance. Malfeasance, yes.
And
essentially,
if we get a few extra charges in the sword as well, I'm so good.
Yeah, and I'm going to essentially, I'm going to using the crown, I'm going to draw it out, not just from her, from every like the pyramid. I'm going down the pyramid.
So you're okay. Let me know how big the pyramid you're thinking of is, because I'm thinking the cathedral underground. But are we talking bigger?
I'm talking all the people that have been.
Riathil.
Yes.
He's taking it all the way back to ancient Iran.
Yeah, you're going all the way back to the ancient future, sci-fi future of Iran.
I don't know
draw
if I
this
can do
corruption out of you like ink from the scroll of ages.
Like I said, I don't know if I can do this because I've never really put my foot on the pedal. But she said, I want to see some results.
Yeah.
I'm a man who's going to deliver.
It was like, we've heard the talk. Let's walk the walk.
All right. I was like, all right.
Okay. So I'm hoping maybe you can get like an assist dice from like using the sword as a focus.
I have no idea.
I'm trying to help, but I have no magic.
I have no idea what is about to go down. And if he says like the difficulty is like 20 obstacle, I mean, my rolling has never been even above a 10. So.
Okay. I mean.
I don't know what the crowd could give me in this situation, but here we go.
Okay, so I think what are we doing here? What are we doing here? I think this is just gonna be you rolling. Let's go with perception. You can select this, and I know what you're gonna select, but select perception or will. Depending on how you see Kameron approaching the sort of cajoling this wild beast that you've never even seen or understand.
Yeah. Mhm.
That is the crown.
I guess I'll go perception. This is my best option
Yeah,
here.
because it does seem like Cameron's sort of doing things from a scholarly standpoint. Anyway, so let's go with that, and let me look up in my materials here, Matthew, the difficulty value for remove an entire city's spiritual corruption.
Right. Okay.
Gonna look that up now.
I'm going to make a wild guess.
There's
It's
a
probably
chart
going to
for
be
that.
pretty high.
There's a chat for that.
Of course, there's probably a separate skill for it in Burning
Look,
like Purge City-wise or something.
The flame keeper said, "Don't just do the talk, do the walk," and I have to do the walk now. I'm in it now.
Oh,
Yeah, this-
mate, have you still got a deed point?
Yeah,
Mate,
So
I know,
mate.
but
So-
Flame King, the Flame King, John.
Yeah, but
picture.
yeah, but think about it. If you pull this off, we're going to have the Flame Keeper with us when we go against the Flame King.
Matthew 10,
10.
which on the scale here says miracle. Sounds
Right.
appropriate.
Okay. Right.
This
You
is
know
the kind
what?
of shit that Ishmael gets up to.
You know what? This isn't what I was going to use it for because
Mhm.
Flame King's my ultimate baddie. But John has a point. If I can pull this off, then stuff can really happen. So, and it's going to save a lot of people.
Plus,
It's
as
gonna-
well,
it's-
if you pull this off and you like purify the whole city, then when you walk out with your like massive kingly like testicles like clanging in the breeze as you having pulled this off, and you're like, oh, just through my like sheer kingly like chutzpah, I've like purified this entire city of like all its evil. That's going to do a lot to like get people on side.
But if I use this, I'm using my deed point on my perception and not my summoning, right?
That is correct.
Oh,
So it's up to you which one you want to go for, man. It's the magic
So
spell.
I'll give you because we've been very negligent because we're so excited about the procedure. So obstacle 10, we know your task. You're using your like cognitive faculties of inflicting your will on the world via the crown's incredible potency. And the obstacle is 10, and the failure condition is that the flame that Mirande had, fanned into fire in centuries back, will burn out. It will no longer be, and it will. A lot of people will burn out with it.
I think at this
Fine,
point as
fail.
well, as he's. I would like to at this point whisper a prayer to the true flame to aid the king in his
Oh,
worthy
man.
endeavour of restoring one of the flame's children to its warmth and embracing light. Hopefully with my little posse backing me up.
Yep. So we've got some true flame
okay,
action
so
going.
how can the crown help me in this situation? Do I just say how many dice I want to use?
Yeah, or like if that's what you want. If you just want to step on the pedal harder and just say, "Do it for me," because like right now you're saying, "The crown is my tool, and I will smooth this over myself with the crown."
I tell you what, Matthew, if you let me make my my faith roll, if I succeed, I might be able to give you some more dice with like the aid of the.
Okay.
So, let's see.
But Matthew, I want to say, like, if you want to stamp on the pedal, you can have the crown do the heavy lifting.
Yeah. Whoa.
Basically opening the floodgates further rather than being like, give me the tools, I will do it. You could say, do it for me.
Yeah. I think this is the first time he's gonna test this. To him, this is a test to see if he can do it.
Ishmael's conjuring up the two flame there. But what is the king doing?
I'm gonna use the crown. What I say is if the faith can take some of the edge off.
Well,
whatever
I
the cost,
can
I'm gonna
take it
pay.
off to the tune of giving you like one bonus dice.
Because I'm going to take some corruption, but I will show that I ain't messing around. I will let the crown.
Okay, so you're going Galadriel, full
Yeah.
on. Okay, well, so because we've got
And I'm sort
successful.
of directing it at the blade. I'm just like drawing this horribleness out, and then the blade is going to.
Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, so I'm gonna have to revise this sword now.
He spent all that time.
Okay, we're gonna John, you're gonna have some new info as soon as I come up with
No
it.
worries. I
We're gonna
appreciate
add
we
some
have
more
sort of
aspects
got
to
a bit
this
off the reservation.
We've because you're stepping on the thing here. I'll modify that later. Just open up there to remind myself, Matthew. So, as you're summoning the power celestial, and being supported by the warmth of the true flame, I would like to note that your corruption dots have
Yeah, I
filled
know.
out.
I know. I'm burnt. I am like a candle. I am burning out. Like
Like a
it's
candle in the
the
wind.
wind.
So
The writing's on the
we're-
wall. I fully understand what this means if
Yeah.
I keep it up.
So I believe last time we got Dreamer.
I've
It's in
three
chronological
things.
order, so it'll be the answer is going to be right.
Voice
here.
of Darkness was the second one.
Yeah, and Dreamer is below that, so Dreamer was the last one we got. So
Do I need to roll right now?
yes.
Okay.
So we're rolling on the primary side now because Dreamer is from the alternate. So
Okay. You've
you've
told me this
got-
every single time, but how do I roll it?
Yeah, and we'll revise that now because we need to clear out your row there. So we're gonna clear out all those. We're gonna put that there. So it's a D6 plus your corruption, which is 4.
Okay.
On the upside, Matthew, I only need 2 more routine checks to get my faith to go up.
Just that's typical. I roll max when it's like for the bad stuff, isn't it? That's just.
So let me. I'm adding this on this new die
What is
trait
it?
that you
What
have.
is it? Where's the corruption thing? Okay, for 10. Aura of oh bloody hell!
Aura
The
of
character
Malevolence.
is evil and everyone knows it. Oh well, that's fantastic.
I wonder if in your process of cleaning this up, you might have soiled yourself.
Sipped a bit from the.
To be fair, that might actually stand you in like good favour with the Flame Keeper, because she's not exactly whiter than white herself, and she already thinks she's doing it for some ulterior motive. So like, but you know, if you still cure her.
Oh boy, so Aura of Malevolence. The character is evil and everyone knows it. Little children run away crying. Dogs bark maniacally. The character and all of his cohorts within his presence gain +2 intimidation or interrogate. If the malevolent character has help with the intimidate, each character grants an additional helping die. Because you can bully some people now.
That might actually be quite useful, you know, when you're having like your sort of stare down with like the false flame king, giving sort of whoop out your intimidation, and all of us are behind you looking sinister AF, being like, yeah.
This is seriously getting Tolkien, where you know, like I am turning into the thing that I am trying to avoid.
And from the king they made a ruined and terrible form of life.
It's almost by design.
Almost like the game makes it so.
Cool. So you draw the flame of Riethil into the Wanderer's Lament, the sword crafted by a very suspicious spiritual entity from a chunk of the moon and blood of the gods. This is turning into a power metal song.
I think we've gone full anime, my lord.
Yeah, you're standing there with the sword. It's like a flash.
The hair's like blowing up.
It's like, oh. So you draw the flame of Riethil, the entire thing, the whole thing that ever was, and you subsume it into the Wanderer's Lament. I presume that was your intent there.
To draw out to restore people back to what they to themselves. From the tippy top of the flame pyramid.
Yeah, and because this was your thing, you wanted to restore people.
I did.
which is not what you intended with Girion, the Beast of the Darkened Stars.
Mhm.
With him, you merely wanted to remove the bad thing. And with him, his problem was the bad thing was what kept him alive. And you took that away and he died immediately.
Which he was happy about.
Yeah, he wanted to die. Fair enough. But I wanted to highlight the difference there because I was listening very carefully what he wanted to do with Girion, and that ended up with him dead. And with this, you want to, restore people rather than take away the thing. So what I'm doing here is like word lawyering, but that's the sort of caveat with the crown. You get what you ask for, not what you wish for. So instead of the gruesome death that Girion suffered, the Keeper of the Flames, sort of as we saw with King Theoden in Lord of the Rings, sort of like the awful aspect sort of recedes. There's a couple of strands of hair that actually fall down, but the rest of it just like sort of fades away slowly, and the rending claws dissipate, and she shrinks into a human's form, now entirely overwhelmed by the massive amount of fabric that she was wearing previously. Just like she's wearing a couple of tents, basically.
I imagine she just kind of collapses, and I'll catch her as
Mhm.
she kind of teeters.
Yeah. So you two are buried in the silks now because there's just several tents worth of fabric there now.
And again, I'll say something to her. You paid the first cost. I have paid the second. The rest is
She's staring at you, just like blinking, and she's sort of, I want to say, like getting close to maybe 50 years of age, mayhaps as she was when she discovered some of the research of Rathawen back in the day, because you've restored her as well. So she's sort of blinking very slowly at you, and just it's just like mutters one word, it's like, how?
I asked nicely, but it did not come for free.
The as you're talking to Mirande, no longer the Keeper of the Flame, she's now Mirande, the sorceress. The knights sort of strap their massive swords on their backs. Idrenian and Ardis, they sort of seem to be looking at each other from their plate mail headed faces. And
I like to think at this point, sort of, I probably sort of like fall down to one knee, so like the sword I'm holding is like become like physically heavier because of all this like essence that's been put into
potency is now there.
I'm gonna do that bit where I sort of like almost like fall to one knee, and I'm sort of like holding the sword like point down as though to try and like steady myself.
And it is now like full on, like it's licking fire now, the sword.
Yeah.
And as everyone's sort of recoiling from this or recovering from it, the knights to sort of in unison says, like, there's nothing for us here now. You shall never see us again, Keeper of the Flame. And they start striding out the cathedral.
I'll say, wait, why don't you stand with us against your ancestor?
It's not our battle.
It's everyone's battle. He threatens us all.
They keep walking.
At this point, because I'm assuming rightly or wrongly, given what they're
I won't impede them. They're not under arrest.
Given how they're sort of dressed, I'm assuming they're knights. Obviously,
Full plate, big sword.
Obviously, yeah, I'm schooled in the doctrine of my original faith, and also I have the etiquette and the noble training, having been sort of like a crusader myself. Basically, I want to try and sort of I can't think of exactly how to phrase it, but basically I want to try and, as I sort of like turn around, sort of staggering to my feet with this like heavy weight of the Wanderer's Lament, I want to try and make some appeal to like the ancient like knightly codes of like the of my original faith, to sort of, you know, like it's effectively, you know, it's a knight's duty to protect those who are weaker than themselves, and to be a shining light for others in the darkness. And I'm just going to sort of say that as they leave, like trying to sort of appeal to whatever knightly virtues remain in their breasts, to sort of persuade them to like consider staying on.
Yep. So I will highlight that there were no sort of adverse or any sort of dissipatory effects on these two. So whatever the king did affected these two not at all.
They were not members of the Flame, to be fair. So
no.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to. Anyway. That's why I'm trying to appeal to them as knights more than the followers of the Flame.
Right. So, do you have a thing in mind to roll?
Yeah, I would like, if I can, I'd like to try and use my etiquette, because I'm trying to use the knightly, and I'd like to fork in my persuasion.
Can I not fork in stuff? Can I help him with some things? Or
I would be delighted to tell you, Matthew.
Also,
you can
doctrine.
Help with anything.
I want to fork in, if I can. Where's my skill list? I have persuasion as well.
Also, I neglected to do the thing that you did after we cleared out your thing there. There we go. You're fine.
Can I help him with persuasion and Dulciriath wise?
Dulciriath wise is the one that you want to do that one.
Yeah, Dulciriath wise.
So one from the king.
Yeah.
And
I was say in the memory of the city you once walked amongst, in a time long forgotten, you stood for something. Stand for it again, these people.
Let me get the thing for you.
I'm also happy to fork in my persuasion and doctrine.
What am I looking at? Oh, here we go. Oh, yeah. All right, that's all fine. Obstacle 6. Okay. Finally found their stats.
It's going to be fucking close, this. I'm on like 7 at the minute. Obstacles. Do you know what? I'm putting Arthur into it. Why not? I've got 2 left. It's all good.
He's got it.
It's still good. It's still good.
You got a deeds point.
So what was the obstacle again? 6 or something? Was it obstacle 6?
Yep.
Okay.
It's their will.
Well, have I got any 6s? Yes.
We've got some 6s.
3. The best amount of 6s.
Oh, and I just happen to have quite a few fate points.
You only need to spend 1.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's another 6.
It's another 6. It's already at 6, but
it's already at 6.
Another one.
Oh, it's another 6. don't mind if I do.
I remember this. It's. I was on board this train.
Look still at 7 successes, so.
Yeah.
You know, with your extra bonuses to intimidation, we should have just tried to intimidate them. Like, sit down, fool!
So I think. Right. So you wanted them to stick around rather than.
Well, I'm trying to get them to like help us sort of like defend these people. Like I say, I'm trying to sort of prey on the fact that like, it's a knight's duty to sort of defend those who can't defend themselves, and there's many people here who need defending, and they could help.
At least until we just, get rid of the Flame King.
So they do stick around with this result here. Probably not for the reasons that you wanted them to, but they cease their flight.
I'll take it.
They do stick around, having realized that what you're talking about has like it makes there's sense in what you're talking about here, and at minimum it's less risky trying to do some of this stuff instead of like, let's ride out during the siege. Let's try and get away.
Oh man, look at that roll though, 5 6s in all.
Yeah. So a couple of Knights of the Blood are gonna stick around here. Cool. King, what shall we do? You have restored. Well, you have very literally snuffed out the the first flame of Riethil.
And I stand within its shadow.
If it's with the king's permission, I'd Ishmael would actually like to lead Ariande out to the faithful of the flame of all the various divisions of the flame that we're trying to bring together, as basically an example of, you know, if you believe in the flame and you have faith and you follow the Sun King, then even those who are fallen into shadow can be brought back into the true light of the flame, basically using it to like inspire other people, like, oh, you've heard about the Flame Keeper, here she is now, purified by the light of the flame and the grace of good King Kameron. And then literally, as I sort of said originally, basically take her to the faithful of the flame and start sort of like sharing her wisdom and hopefully sort of like bring her into this sort of like multi-faith like flame coalition that we're like welding together.
She seems much more, after a little bit like timey-wimey stuff now.
Yeah.
She seems a lot more present. She was not only monstrous before, but also a little bit like weird to interact with on a like a person level. But she seems to have regained, I don't know, like the human aspect, in that she can interact with people like in a much more natural way. There was a lot wrong with her just then. Good.
And I suppose I'm trying to sort of play on the fact as well. We're almost looking at a sort of as far as I'm seeing it. No, we're almost looking at a sort of like messianic like event here, like effectively, you know, the sort of like the like purging of sin and the sort of someone being brought back into the light from such a dark place. It's a profound, I suppose, like religious event.
You got to think about it, John. The people in the dungeons, the people in the street that harbored that little bit of corruption, the people asleep will have suddenly been awoken as it was drawn out of them.
Well, that's what I mean. Basically, lead her out, and then as we sort of start discovering that, like, cause obviously I don't know the exact parameters of what you did in character, but as we start discovering other people who've been like purged of these impurities and these bedevilments, you know, we can start sort of like drawing people together, because this wonderful sort of rebirth as such has happened in this city. As I say, a city that's in like the darkest of hours, surrounded by its enemies on all sides. Things look grim and hopeless. Then in comes the Sun King with like the apostles of the true flame riding behind him, and faith and the glory of the Sun King is sort of washed over them, cleansing all these impurities. So I'm trying to get across that whole idea that, you know, even in the like darkest hour, if you've got faith and you're willing to pledge yourself to something greater than yourself, you still have a chance to be saved. And basically try and like get everyone like that. Oh, you know, we can actually do this. If we all come together, we can win this, and we can as you've been restored, we can restore this place to what it was and free it of these shadowy forces that surround it.
Yeah, no, there's absolutely, like, it's a momentous day today, and
Best believe I'm pitching for this to be a public holiday when
I'm
the
gonna,
flame goes
as
global.
we're sort of walking out, I'm gonna lean into Wraithwin and be like, I've dealt with the flame. Now I go for the fire.
So good.
So, um, yeah, Breathwen nods and says that will be the true test, not this.
The
I know.
So well done.
random question:
I'm trying.
the walls around the city, and like the fortifications that obviously the besiegers have been like battering against. What are they made out of? Are they like stone or
Stone, yeah, granite.
so? As the sort of news of this miraculous like rebirth goes out, in order to try and sort of like fan the flame of hope in people, I basically want to try and get like on all of these like watchtowers and anywhere we can on the fortifications, like basically like light bonfires, so that the whole city will become like almost like a physical sort of like beacon of light.
Yeah.
And also because I want that false flame king to know that we're coming for him.
Yeah. I like the idea that we're continuing basically with the same motive of like we're planting banners. It's like, hey, look at this. Like we're not afraid.
Yeah.
Kameron started it with the like, let me throw up the sigil of the true flame here with my crown powers. Now we're lighting up the victory bonfires as if to say like, no, we're still here. So
That's excellent. I'm sort of getting the impression, like Ishmael's getting the impression that, so when we first came there, everyone was like scared and they sort of thought the battle was already lost effectively, and it was just like a matter of time. Whereas now we're trying to sort of say to the enemy like, oh, this isn't going to be like the easy sort of like walk over that you thought it was going to be, and also saying to the people inside like, look at what has already been accomplished in the fairly short time we've been here. All we've got to do is have faith, believe, and stand together, and we can sort of shine brightly, and we can deal with this enemy like hope isn't lost.
So I've added a 3-die reputation for Kameron because that's what we're dealing with here now. You took out the city's number one. Like this was the de facto leader of Riathil.
Nice.
And now the word is spreading in a limited fashion because you can't get the message out.
Not fast enough, but it's going out.
But it's in the city. Kameron, like in a matter of hours, Kameron is known as the healer of Riathil.
2 flames enter, 1 flame leaves.
Kameron runs Barter Town.
Yeah, Riathil to be renamed Barter Town.
She asked to see the proof of my words, and she got it.
Yeah, she got it, and you got something in the bargain too.
Yeah, feeling I can't do that too many more times. And
you drew out the malevolence of Riathil,
Yeah, and you jammed it all into this sword that I'm never going to be able to let go
of. Good, wonderful.
Although I've got to admit, I do kind of like because obviously like when Ishmael started, I was always like, my leprosy is like my penance for all the people I killed during the Crusades. So I think he probably sees like this sword, which I'm basically going to try and like keep sheathed and not draw. I'm going to use my like normal sword, but he's sort of like, I know it's mechanically it's because of like the aspects on it and whatever, but he's almost saying like, oh, the reason I'm not going to give this away and how he's justifying it to himself is like, oh, like this is now my penance. This has got all that horrible like corruption from people, but I'm going to carry it and not use it because it's better that it's in there.
Yeah, you're safeguarding Pandora's box or
basically,
Riathil's box.
Also, it's one of the reasons I thought about, because I thought there was going to be a cost for doing this no matter what I do, that this is Cameron's rationalization of if he turns into the next undead Flame King, then he's given his friends a way to stop him.
Yeah, it was like, here's the keys.
He's the way to peace. If I go bad, you have a way to put me down.
If I go flame drunk, here's the keys to my car, my flame car. So
he's protected by the flame, and he is, he's a disciple.
I'm just now imagining Kameron being like, right, we need to take this fight to the Flame King, quick, to the Flame Mobile.
It's a flame wagon.
Nice.
Yeah, with nightmares dragging.
I think then with the King's leave, I think then we start sort of like as the word's gone out,
marshalling our forces. We're
we-
getting ready to go.
yeah, we start getting ready, whilst everyone's still riding high on this like wave of hope, and we're like the bonfire, sound the horns, and all of that sort of stuff. Then we sort of start gathering everyone together, for one last fight, giving the whole like speech, and like, oh, if it be our destiny to fall this day, then let us light a flame that others may carry, and let our deeds go down in the legends of this world, that everyone will know that as long as one person still stands with faith in his heart, that darkness will never conquer this land.
Yeah, and there's so we've not to go too long here, but we can do a couple of itty bits here. So I'm imagining, because we're sort of in the celebration and also like get everyone sort of sorted out, because we're about to actually go out and whoop some ass.
Yep.
That Cameron's I want to imagine like Cameron's on a balcony somewhere overlooking like a square of jubilant people. There's a bonfire.
Has he turned up?
So you've been listening to.
I was kind of thinking any minute now. Like I just had this in my while this whole was going. I was like, I bet that dickhead sat in like a tower somewhere, having a biscuit and a cup of tea, living it up, and all of a sudden he sees all these people like flailing about and sort of flames flying out of them, and he's like,
he's going
put his newspaper down. Wait a minute.
He's going to turn up and he's like, oh, you've become the evil, powerful force that I always designed you to be, Kameron.
I was waiting for this.
So, you've been brought. There's a silver platter. There's a goblet of wine for the healer, with compliments.
Thank you. I'll take the chalice.
I'm gonna sort of hold up a hand before you like drink that, because like I must say, I don't wish to sound paranoid, my liege, but given your rising stature, we cannot rule out that the enemy may have agents within these walls. It is standard siege practice to get the lay of the land. I suggest you let someone else, and I'll sort of hold that hand towards the goblet, and given my knowledge of sort of herbalism and things like that, I'm going to try like the tiniest like sip of it and see if I get any sort of, I'm going to sort of swill it round or whatever. And basically I'm trying to determine, like, make sure it's not poisoned before like Cameron like swigs it, because I don't want one of like the enemy agents being like, oh, here's some free wine, your kingship, and just like poison him before like we can get out there.
There's a whoops.
Jokes on him though, because I could just use the crown to get rid of the poison.
So it seems to be okay to you.
Okay.
It seems to be just fine.
I'll pass
What
it
kind of
back
wine
to
is
King.
it? I'll give it a little smell. Like, is it a
I
particular?
believe it's grape, my lord.
It's made from the wine fruit, my lord. The one that they make wines from.
I'll take a sip.
It is a red.
I believe it's a Chateau Rearville.
Chateau Dank. with a Q. So the servant sticks around for a bit and is like, oh, I can't do these charades anymore. Well done. Well done.
I was wondering when you would show up.
Is this what you do now? Gestures with the silver platter outside to the crowd.
This is keeping up appearances, doing what people is doing the job description.
Hmm.
I see. See, you've been keeping busy.
One does as one is.
Yeah. I just take another sip and look at him in the eyes. I take this is all part of your everything going according to the plan you were hoping for.
No, I'm delighted to say this is all you. I did not have much of an interest in some peasant sorceress woman discovering old scribblings of a different peasant sorceress woman.
I must have
But-
inherited your rebellious nature.
Must run in the blood.
It must.
Speaking of which, very intriguing, the implement that you had such a smith create as well, and right here under my nose. It's very intriguing to watch.
A
What do
friend
you
of
intend
yours?
with it? Oh no, that is a servant of the darkness. I do not have truck with those.
Okay. Did I just hear? I may have misheard what he just said, because I'm just going to reel that back just a couple of sentences.
I'm gonna use the crown.
I'm just gonna.
You're a smith of recent ages, resides in the void. But it is not the first time you reached out in the void. That is, after all, the
You would know.
entire purpose.
I really hope Wraithwin is still with me. I really, as I'll gesture with the wine, my Wraithwin, my distant ancestor, the fox fights.
Yes, the said peasant sorceress, who, curiously enough, seems to lack all of her talents. Very curious. I wonder how she performs as a court sorceress these days.
She's more of a
Rathwin
consultant.
looks a little bit taken aback at that.
Yeah.
She looks at you as if to say, "Who the fuck is this?"
This is my other grandfather.
Rathwin shakes her head. What?
Remember, I told you that my lineage is not just one of a king. It is one of the Foxfires, stretching back.
Foxfire's the spirit of the night sky perished long ages ago. So whatever this thing is, did you conjure this up? And did you fail to put it down?
I brought it back to life. That wasn't my intention. Unless, and I just look over, unless the Foxfires is actually just one of your aliases and that is not who you truly are. Because that would be, I say with a smile, very in keeping with your style.
I do wear a lot of faces. It is essential, says the server.
Would you like to join me for a drink since you brought the wine?
Why not? Why not? Let's have a drink. Even the peasant can join. Rathwin is like, no. So Rathwin says, is this, do I understand correctly, you summoned something from the void
Correct.
and you consort with it now?
It's more of an arrangement, Rith, when
Does it run free?
I couldn't
The
contain it.
servant is like, right here.
You must understand that I'm not who I discovered my true nature via this creature, and it had in all rights to take my life for my hubris in its summoning. It was not my intention. I could not control it. It is, if I may say, probably the greatest summoning of the age. It was not my intention to bring forth this creature, but in doing so, it allowed me to go on this quest. I paid the price. I cannot control it, and I don't know if I could call you a friend, but I don't think you're my enemy either.
You say this to the servant?
Yeah, I start to riff, but then I sort of turn. But you are a mystery, possibly the only one I've not been able to figure out. But I
So
knew you'd be watching.
this is to the servant.
This is to
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, it would be highly unbecoming if you could solve it.
Would you be curious if I used the crown on you to get you to tell me what I wanted to know?
There's a sort of there's the multicolored fires
Yeah.
of the aurora borealis in the servant's eyes, and servant says, "You do recall that it was I that stole the starlight out of which these are crafted."
Very true. Very true. You did. But that doesn't mean you're immune to its effects.
Rathwin says, clearly lying. The spirit of the night sky died. It perished in the fall. We have much to thank that spirit for, but this is not that spirit.
How can you be so sure, Rathwin? Telling me doesn't change my path. I've already told you what I'm going to do. This information is just, I'm curious. I cannot hurt this creature, for I owe it my life. But I could try to command it. But I suspect, again gesturing to the servant, that you have already thought of the fact that I would get the crown, so you probably have some kind of contingency in such an...
Yes. Let's drink to that, shall we? Well done indeed. As I said before, well done. Very well done. Somewhat unexpected, but then my handiwork. So raises a goblet. Cheers. Drinks the whole thing in one go.
Now, if you'll forgive me, if realizing that you gave me a piece of information for free, and I can't help but wonder what that means.
You suspect dark purpose moving behind this information?
No, you said you don't truck with the forces of darkness, that this creature that helped me make this sword is it's from an ill intent.
Is someone I used to know.
That would imply that you're not with the darkness.
You think I would subject myself to that self-important? No, that is not for you to know. Let us just say that I have far grander ambitions than being the sommelier for the one who fell. It is why I stole the starlight and assisted your ancestors instead of going for the bottle and providing samples to my new lord. I'll put it down to my rebellious nature. Gives a wide smile.
Well, if that's the case, then perhaps you could help us in this coming battle.
Reaches for the bottle again, fills his cup to the brim again.
wouldn't you like to see your product of your hard work in the field rather than from the shadows for a change? Why not join us? Why not come with us? Face this king with me. He's one half of this coin, you're the other.
No, he is a walking corpse that briefly forgot that he was dead. Inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. But
True, but his
I'm
lineage
talking
and
now.
oh, apologies.
There was a time, you'll be surprised to know perhaps, that there were further positions, further roles for you to play in the grand drama of my devising here. And well, we have reached the climactic point according to the design, where you have retrieved fire from above and below. You have combined the two great forces of our world. This is where we all applaud. Starts clapping a little bit. And there was a story where I would have wanted you to leverage your newly acquired gifts from below and above in a grand battle against mine own self. Build a new story. I have perished once before. It didn't take.
You're welcome.
I have since revised those plans, and that battle is no longer necessary. But not to, well, perhaps it is demoralizing to find out that you no longer have that part, but you know, consider it a point of merit that you were considered for it. Now, there is a different end to this story now because of the revision. You see, takes a drinks a cup again, one go. You will have noted that we have had recent changes in our sky.
Yes, I did ask you to help. That's not quite what I expected, but you do get results. One cannot deny.
I was not really truthful when we made the bargain, but it achieved the same end, so there was no harm in making you think of that in your terms. But
excuse me while I am shocked at the fact that you were not truly honest with me.
You wound me.
I can't bring myself to dislike this guy.
The voice of hatred now has been somewhat quietened. Now, the ancient works that were once put in place by yours truly can no longer be leveraged to do what we once did. The great bloodlines grow weak. I had to wring that song singer quite hard to even affect this now. But it served the purpose. It served to set up the background as far as the voice of hatred goes. You see, I might have sampled a bit of the voice as it was fading to the precipice of the void. We lacked the strength to fully push it over the edge for good.
Unfortunately, we are both echoes of a stronger time.
No. You see, the new end, now that we have arrived here, that I have written is that I will be the chorus of the end. For in the void, I met some of the voices that I helped banish there. They were not best pleased, of course, but also fairly dull. Once upon a time, they were creatures of flesh, after all. And I have devoured one. And now the other one has been dissipated with the going of the moon. The third one proved very tricky, deceitful as that creature's nature is. But then I realized, is that not also my nature? So you see, with the three voices in me now, I will sing such a song that the darkness itself will attend and be subsumed. It will be the final act. Glorious. And should you still live from your petty scrabbles with this walking corpse, you're welcome to watch.
It's quite a tale.
I like stories.
Me too. Me too.
They speak truth with lies. It's a very compelling idea to me.
But as you know, with the best stories, they don't always end the way you expect. Even you have your limits.
Once, no longer. I came to say goodbye, in truth.
But what I don't understand, and maybe that's, even a king cannot gain everything he needs. Why? Why do you wish this doom upon yourself and darkness? And it kind of thematically kind of amusing. I pull out a coin and I just kind of slide it across the table.
Mhm.
If you'd be so kind to make a deal. I would like to know. And what harm is there in knowing if this is the end?
I once laid my life on the line in the struggle against the fall and the darkness. One of my kin, the one who fell, it looks a little bit pensive for the first time. Like there's like a note of seriousness now.
This is actually a painful memory that he's conjured
Yeah.
up from his.
Yeah. And I had to pull out every trick known to man and celestial, every wile known to the north wind, and some that I borrowed from the east and the south and the west in those good days when we were all still here. It cost me everything.
But you returned.
I think I was of a different mind then.
So I've always suspected that you've always been able to hear me.
Oh, I never do. Unless I'm here.
Well, I'll say the same to you as I did the Flamekeeper. We all get a second chance.
Quite right.
It doesn't have to end like this.
No, my sacrifice is done. Now the darkness will be sacrificed for me. And I will play out my grandest trick. And you, with your twin fires, can both watch. Goodbye. Puts down the goblet and starts walking away.
I'll let it leave. I cannot compel it to stay. I just turned away from it again, and Ishmael, I wasn't joking when I said I brought him back. It back.
I must confess, my
Rathmon.
lord, while I have no knowledge of the arts you describe, I have never known you to willingly lie about such things.
Rathwin is just shaking her head.
It's not over though. You may not be, well, it may not be aware that I do have one card left to play. It would be a grand undertaking if I do it. I have the words. I did not back then.
Okay. And I think that's probably it then. The celebrations continue. Riathil has awoken to a new flame.
A new flame.
Dead.
And is sharpening, weapons for the, I suppose, the breaking of the siege. Which is what we'll do next time.
That's it, man. Ride for Red Ruin and Riathil.
Yep.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for running that. Very much enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Also, talk about XP and whatever, but I'll stop.